Let's continue with the Arsenal chat, shall we? We've obviously, this week seen Mesut Ozil finally confirmed at Fenerbahce. Could he be replaced by the Norwegian midfielder Martin Ødegaard? We think so.
Looks like it. It's looking increasingly likely, isn't it? There was other interest, but now Arsenal are pretty much the only contenders for his signature, and the player's clearly very keen to move on a temporary basis to Arsenal. I think that's the key thing here. It's a loan deal, no option for a permanent deal. So it's a deal that massively benefits the player if he performs well. You can go back to Real Madrid with this, kind of almost like, I told you I was this good, even though I've just proved myself a Real Sociedad for a year. It benefits Real Madrid because either get a player back in form or they get a player they can sell for more money. Where does it leave Arsenal in 6 months' time? Arsenal's kind of season, as we kind of said, is gone poorly, slowly improving. But effectively, Mikel Arteta's, we know his job's safe, so he's got a free hit this season, isn't he? Isn't this a chance where they can play some of the younger players, see what they've got in that squad, and then assess where they go in the summer? Is Ødegaard going to come in and be a bit of a progress stopper? And they've got someone like Emil Smith-Rowe, who's been waiting to get into the kitchen for a long time, and now they're letting the lad cook. And he is looking good. It is appetising what he's serving up right now. So, I feel a little bit sorry for Emil Smith-Rowe if he does lose his place to Ødegaard.
But on the other hand of that, will it push Smith-Rowe out, or will it force him to step his game up?
I mean, he can't do much better, can he? You are harsh.
just a thought.
But no, football's ruthless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely understand that. And also, Arsenal haven't given up on their season. They're still in the Europa League, therefore they can still get into the Champions League, can't they?
Now, it is a loan deal, of course, Emma. Could it become permanent, do you think? Is that what Arsenal need? Is that what the player needs?
I mean, you mentioned it there. There's no formal option to buy in the agreement with Real Madrid at the moment. And we had Terry Gibson on the Transfer Talk podcast last week, I think it was, and he said, look, Ødegaard sees his long-term future at Real Madrid, but probably when Zinedine Zidane has moved on, and I mean that could be any time because we know what the top Spanish clubs are like and their expectations. But he actually signed a contract extension with Real Madrid at the start of last season, so that keeps him at the Spanish club until 2023. So it could take a lot of money to buy him on a permanent deal. And you alluded to it, I mentioned it there, but in terms of where he stands at Real Madrid and that feeling towards Zidane, he showed his credentials last season at Real Sociedad. He was one of the standout players in La Liga. And Real Madrid were almost like surprised by how well he did. They brought him back, and that relationship with Zidane has not been good. Initially, I think there was a bit of an improvement when he did come back playing, doing OK in that system. And then things turned a little bit sour again, and he sort of disappeared out of that team. And, there have been a couple of sort of niggly injuries there, but I think a lot of the time, from what Terry was saying on this podcast as well, it's about Zidane not choosing him. And it sounds like Ødegaard is insisting that, look, I don't want to sit on the bench here at Real Madrid. I want to get out and play and show that I'm this star that I suppose he showed last season at Sociedad as well. Yeah, and we also know in terms of Arsenal, Mesut Ozil is expected he's been officially announced, hasn't he, at Fenerbahce. He was in the stands yesterday watching Fenerbahce play. What do you make of that?
I mean, the Ozil situation is just fascinating. It still is, isn't it? Because we're starting to find out more about the contractual sort of situation that he's going to have now at Fenerbahce. So we know he's signed in a 3.5-year contract worth around £50,000 a week. Now that's quite a drop in wages from what he was on at Arsenal, isn't it? But Fenerbahce aren't covering his wages for the contract he was on at Arsenal. Arsenal aren't saying how much. Obviously, they've agreed to pay Ozil until the end of the season. So that's fascinating, isn't it? Because the way this deal's come about for Fenerbahce is, they've effectively crowdfunded the deal, haven't they? Their president, Ali Koch, basically came out and said, we've got around 200,000 messages, around 400,000, which in each one of those worth £2. So around £400,000 has come into the club from fans to help fund this deal. Fenerbahce have got huge financial problems themselves, but the fans have put their hands in their pockets to get Mesut Ozil to the club.